satellite online.
Transmitting from the third mole from the sun. You have tuned into Radio Cosmos.
To Radio Cosmos Live. I'm Mike Thompson, and with me is Mr. Calvin Gann.
Hi.
And the amazing, wonderful Miss Rachel Hillman.
Amazing.
Ooh, I've got adjectives.
Come all the way down from Tallahassee to join us today, get a little sunshine, and play a little music. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me, and I'm so excited to be in such a fantastic studio with really cool equipment, and I'm really excited about today.
I've been listening to your music for a while, especially since we've been contacted to come on the show, and it's really amazing the different styles of music that you're pulling together.
Thank you.
It's got some kind of jazz standard feel, and I was kind of joking with them, saying it's like Edie Brickell and Pat Metheny had a musical love child.
Wow. Thank you.
But then there's even some Latin rhythms in there and stuff. Mm-hmm. Where does all this come from? When you approach songwriting, how do you get all that in there?
Well, part of it is when I was younger and I first came into college, I was studying opera and I joined the vocal jazz group as a sort of side thing. I really had no knowledge of jazz history or blues history or any kind of American folk musics or traditions in that way, but I was really interested in it. I always liked kind of like the old movie soundtracks and the orchestration of those sort of things, and I thought they were really incredible, but I didn't know too much about it. And FSU at that time still actually does not have a jazz voice program. Really? So that was really my only way to kind of interact with that style of music, because again, I was studying opera. So I was in it for 2 years and I really loved it, and I started to pick up my guitar and accompany myself doing those kind of standards, and I really liked it, and I realized that I wanted to continue my studies, but I wasn't going to be able to do that in school. So I dropped out of school and I just started pursuing music, I guess, recreationally. I was working in a lot of cafes and things like that. And I joined theater troupes. I joined TLT in Tallahassee Little Theater in Tallahassee. I was at Quincy Music Theater, and so I was listening to all those kind of, I guess I would say, jazz and cabaret influenced soundtracks. And I loved that. And I joined a blues group. We did all sorts of jams. That was down in Apalachicola. And then I moved up to Nashville, and I was listening to all these different musicians that were inspired by Chet Atkins and George Jones and all kinds of different styles. So I've taken in a lot of American folk tradition music. And I also, for some personal reasons, have wanted to learn Spanish and connect with Spanish heritage. So I was very interested in South American musics, and I studied a Spanish minor when I eventually went back to school after I moved back from Nashville. So I've spent a little bit of time listening to different kinds of, I guess, North American and South American folk traditions. And while they aren't necessarily the most popular styles, you listen on the radio, you'll hear all kinds of different production styles, and acoustic is coming back, I would say, definitely in the form of like funk and soul. Yeah. But still, the mainstream media loves to listen to just those super glamorized vocals and gorgeous pop arrangements, and there's so many creative things that can happen. And 80s styles. There's a lot of inputs, you know, and I love specifically the community that comes from folk traditions. So I'm trying to write music that pulls from that community and inspires that kind of community. I love being part of jams, whether they're bossa nova jams or jazz jams or blues jams or just sitting down and singing jams.
Yeah. Well, I love how you've taken those traditional styles, especially, I mean, some of the first, your Influences album, that Waiting for the Rain or
Yes.
Waiting for Rain or something like the first track on there, it's really you know, kind of that old school traditional jazz standard kind of sound, but it's very the way you do your phrasing and your lyrics and things, very modern. You know, you're getting a lot of words and there's a lot of rhythm to it.
Thank you.
That's not so much what you would have heard back then. So it's neat how you're pulling the modern influences in there with it too. So that's
well. Gosh, the way that I see it is that it's really coming from old school blues, and prior to that, work hollers and just old American music that has that kind of call and response, and sort of the vocal mimicking. These are all things that I've been trying to learn more about in American roots in college, and then also just in learning about blues history in general. So many of those things that have been passed down from really slave traditions and Black American traditions that have merged in blues and rock and roll and just different things like that. But those traditions that have moved and melded together, also in gospel. And so I see all those as old things, you know, fast lyrics and call and response, and all of that is to me, it seems like an old tradition, But yeah, I guess I would say that rap and spoken word and those styles would be more modern, I guess. So like New York.
I see where you're coming from that, yeah.
But
and you know, and one thing that we won't really hear today because you're here by yourself. I know you do a lot of harmonies on your verses and things like that. So there's a lot of work on your vocals there. So that's you really approach that more as an instrument. Is that more based on kind of your opera training or state of mind, or am I making that up? It sounds good.
I love. One of the things I love about jazz specifically is how much language is used in the melodies, and you know, you have the saxophones that are doing all these kind of fancy bebop lines, and not specifically saxophones, but John Coltrane. And then when you listen to like Ella Fitzgerald or Anita O'Day or any of those scat style or song stylists, as Anita called herself, her style of singing and Ella's style of singing was so built around the melodies that the horns were playing in those arrangements. And I listened to their music for quite some time. I've spent a little more time recently listening to Anita O'Day, but Ella Fitzgerald and Louis Armstrong. And then also listening to Lake Street Dive and Tedeschi Trucks Band and the Beatles even, where you have these vocal lines that can just get really, really expansive and interesting. So I've always thought that those singers were very interesting to listen to, and I guess inevitably it's ended up in my music. But it's great. It's really impressive. Thank you.
The more you listen to it, you know, it starts off as sounding. I won't say it starts off sounding simple. You know, then there's nothing wrong with simple. You know, some great songs are simple, but the more you listen to it, the layers, and then, you know, bringing in the horns on some of the songs and some strings on some other songs are really great. And one thing I noticed, and this is just, I don't know why I had a preconceived notion of this, but you're a great guitar player.
Oh, thank you.
All I've heard is opera training, theater training. Where did this guitar picking come from?
Just accompanying myself. I've studied with a lot of different people. Chris Seepersod, Perry Osborne in Tallahassee. I've had a lot of teachers, so I don't want to miss anybody. But a lot of my influence has come from being part of jazz jams and blues jams, and just wanting to be able to accompany myself so that way whoever I was playing with could be free to do interesting solos and just kind of float over the accompaniment. Right. So out of wanting to learn those kind of songs and be able to feel independent, I have grown a little more comfortable with some interesting arrangements and chords and putting that into my writing. Everything that I learn inevitably ends up, regurgitated into my writing. So if it's a new chord, I end up writing a song with that chord, and if it's a new style of finger picking, I inevitably write a song that has that. And I hope that I'll get to show you some of that today when I perform.
Absolutely, and if you were one of her instructors, mentors, influences, and she didn't mention your name, she's going to do you right. You know who you are. She's going to show off and make you feel good here in a minute. So other things you got going on. So, you have 4 albums or 2 albums and 2 singles, I guess?
Yes. Gosh, I can't think of the number right now. Let's see. There's Influences, which was most recently done at Gasoline Alley in Tallahassee. Mm-hmm. Then we did Roadie, which was with Cat Family Records. That's a kind of community group. It started off very small and it has just exploded into this amazing group of musicians and artists and photographers and painters and all kinds of things. It's very Tallahassee organized. And super cool. Yeah. And then, so that was 2. And then we have Bonfire, which was recorded at Ethnic Kids Studio by my friend Julian De La Cruz. And he is just so smart. He knows so much about arrangement and interesting production styles. And so that was just so educational to work with him, and he introduced me to so many different motivational speakers. And then Cold Feet and Slowly. Cold Feet is a single. It's not associated with any track or record or anything like that, but Slowly was a single that ended up being part of Influences.
Yeah, it is great when you go, it's a whole nother world playing live. And I was always looking bar bands. I'm a bar singer, so jazz, used to play jazz band when I played trumpet way a long time ago. But, coming into a studio and working with people like Calvin and Tom back there behind the camera. Say hi, Tom.
Hi, Tom.
And, but people that really know what they're doing and can bring techniques and different approaches and different equipment, which everybody thinks, ooh, great equipment. But it's kind of like I walk up with my camera, like, wow, that's a great camera. You must take great pictures.
Gotta know how to use it.
You gotta know where to point it. Yeah,
Producers are artists.
So but it really opens up, because on the stuff I've done, which is not nearly as intricate as stuff you've done and whatever. It's really opened up the way you think about songwriting and just music in general and approach. So it's really great.
Yeah, when I was working with Jay with Ethnic Kids for Bonfire, and actually before that, I forgot to say there was an experimental record that I did called Lions and Lambs. It was I feel like it was a very silly record, but
I didn't see
production
that on Amazon. Just saying.
The production that was on there was just spectacular, and I wish that I was a more developed artist when we did that project.
That's how you get there, though.
But I will say that that project, I just learned so much about songwriting, and it's amazing when you're working with a new artist, whether they're a producer, whether they're a singer, whether they're a pianist, just learning to hear their language and how it is that they understand the world, whether it's through photography or whether it's through music or whether it's through mathematics. Everyone has their own language of understanding, and it kind of filters into everything else that they do. And it's cool. It's cool to see how people think and maybe, take a few things from it.
I love it. I love digging in like the creative process, regardless of what it is, just the way you think about it. Some people are, well, that's a very good question. Okay, so you talked about, you come up with a new technique or finger picking style or something, and then you kind of, hey, let me write a song featuring that. I won't say around it, but, at least getting it in there. In general, I get an idea in the shower, and if I can remember it the next day, then I consider it a good idea, and that's my song. I'm not a professional songwriter.
Well, I think that's
How do you? Well, some people can just sit down and I'm gonna write a song now, and they just write a song. How do you approach it? Is it inspiration? Is it perspiration? Is it, what's your technique there?
Well, I think you hit it. We're constantly taking in information, whether we're in the car and we're listening to the radio, or whether we're at church. I spend a lot of time, and still do, listening to very old style arrangements, whether it be organ or choir. I'm part of a choir in Tallahassee called the First Presbyterian Choir, and we get to do virtual arrangements right now. So we'll receive an arrangement online, and we'll have the accompaniment, and then we'll clap along with the person that recorded it, and then we'll sing along, and then we have a very nice person, Tiana, who goes and edits them all together, and then we have 40 or 50 or whatever singers in it. So I think that's incredible. Anyway,
that's gotta be,
diverging.
That's a lot of editing.
It is a lot of editing.
Did they put you up there like the Brady Bunch, though? Or
it's so cool. I love it.
That's gonna be great.
And like sometimes it'll just be like zeroed in on one person, and they're just like, It's just, I love it. It feels like you're there with the people. So that's very, very cool. But my point there being is that we're constantly taking in information, and then you don't really know when you're going to breathe out. And so, maybe it's when you're least stressed out and you're in the shower and you're just free to think about music or whatever it is that you think about. And maybe it's, when you're sitting at your guitar. And I think the important thing for me was creating a space where I was able to feel comfortable just writing. So usually I have to be alone. Usually I need to have my instrument in my hand, because there's just a little more freedom when you can create some kind of accompaniment go under it. But other times I kind of have to like force myself into that creative space. I'll play like a backing track on YouTube, and I'll just kind of play on there for a bit until I get an idea, and then I'll go with it, because there are just so many creative people who have put backing tracks out there that have new ideas that inevitably you just kind of listen to that language and pull it in, and then suddenly it makes its way in. Sometimes I'll be watching a television show and I will learn a new vocabulary word, and I'll sit down and I'll think about what that means to me, and I'll write it down. So just for me, it's constantly trying to find ways that I can encourage myself to feel free to embark on a new idea. And I record myself using voice memos. I'm constantly writing things down in my journal. And really any way that I can remind myself later of those ideas, I try to give myself that freedom. So if I come up with an idea in the shower, I try to sing it and sing it and sing it until I'm by my phone and I can record it. And if I come up with that idea in the car, I try to record it into my phone when I'm in the car. And then when I have that freedom and when I have that relaxation, then I can sit alone by my guitar and reflect upon the different ideas that I had during the week and turn them into something.
Yeah. My favorite thing is when you scribble something down
and then you can't read it.
And then or either that or you got the words and you come back later and you've totally forgotten the melody and the rhythm. You're like, wait a minute, I had this all worked out.
That meant something yesterday.
Yeah.
But I don't know what it is today.
That can be a blessing though, because you can look back on something that you were frustrated with like a year ago, and then happen upon it, and then you can't remember that melody that you didn't like, and so then you're free to have a new melody,
or a lot of times I'll end up taking like, you work on something, and it's just you can't quite get it to click. It's like there's something there, but I just can't quite work it out. And it's like, oh, wait a minute, I could pull those 4 lines and make a bridge over here, because I like that thought, but it just this isn't working.
It's like idea Legos, you just kind of like build it, and if you don't like it, you just kind of smash it and pick up the ones that you like and put it into something.
Okay, so Michael's talked about several albums.
Minecraft.
How many songs do you think you've written?
Oh, a lot. Hundreds.
Hundreds?
Yeah, at least.
How many have been recorded?
Oh, like recorded professionally? Well, I guess on the 4 albums, we had about 10 to 12, and then 2 singles, minus 1. So about 50-ish.
Yeah, that's
good.
Way more than me.
Might be a little more than that, actually, because now I'm remembering we have a live album on my website And that had a couple of additional songs. And then I've also written songs for my YouTube channel that I've individually recorded. And Dice Funk, I have to tell you about that. I worked with Dice Funk, which is a really cool podcast that is a regularly scheduled Sunday Dungeons and Dragons game. And my old roommate, her partner leads it, and it's just the coolest thing. So that's one thing that I got to do a recording for. We did a song for my cat Apollo, and it related to the plot of the game that they were playing, so they used it. So it's a really amazing when you can open yourself up to just unusual situations. How cool of opportunities can arise. I mean, I would have never thought that I would be writing a song for a Dungeons and Dragons podcast, but that's what happened, and it's cool as heck.
Well, yeah, but it is cool that you're open to that, because it does, you know, especially as an independent artist, you know, those connections are what make it go, you know, because somebody will hear that and say, hey, who wrote that song? And then you'll have another door open somewhere else, or just the fact that you're, you know, willing to work with somebody easy to work with, which you have been extraordinarily easy to work with.
Well, thank you.
So, you know, and this every little connection on that list.
Go ahead.
No, it's about you, not me.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I've just been amazed. The pandemic has made me so aware of the opportunities that are available online. Because I have spent maybe the past 5-6 years writing songs, and I never put YouTube videos up, and yet YouTube has been around since way before that. Yeah. I've spent the past 5 or 6 years working in bands, but I've never recorded my stuff and put it online for people to rehearse to. And out of necessity, I realized that there were so many things that I had been missing out on. I've just been really blown away at the utility that, you know, Google, YouTube, Dropbox, those sort of things have to offer.
Yeah, and actually that's where I was going to go with you on that is, you know, you talked about doing the choir virtually, and then you mentioned you'd done a couple of videos for your YouTube channel.
Yes.
And I was going to ask you about your YouTube channel, because do you see that, you know, you can talk about it a little bit building up, but do you really see that as a, you know, is that an outlet for just exposure to your music? Is it building a community of listeners? Is it another revenue stream? Which is not an evil thing to say, you know, because if you're going to be a musician, you got to eat.
Well,
so,
yeah.
You know, you got to make money. But I mean, you know, I know some people are, you know, they really approach that as, you know, I want to get this many viewers so I can monetize it this way. You know, it's a very much a revenue stream for them, and that's kind of the core of their business model. Which again, if you don't have a good business model, you can't get out and play, because you need to get a job working to pay the bills. You know,
that's true.
You know,
I have focused in a lot on what brings in the money, and time again, my friends, the greatest professionals that I have worked with, and my teachers and all of those people have said that if you start off with something that connects with people and that is genuinely a good product, then everything else will work itself out. So I've been trying to focus on creating community in my YouTube channel and creating the best product that I personally can create, which I think kind of zeroes in on this kind of participation concept. So I've been trying to come up with a couple different things. I put one of my songs, actually there's a playlist on my YouTube that's all of my songs recently, and I included all of my chords on there so that if somebody wanted to, and this is, I guess, kind of, it's silly to think that someone would want to do this, but if they did, they could pull up the YouTube video and then play along with it, because the chords would be right there. Or, for instance, because, you know, when I go on YouTube, I often use it as a practice track. Right. So I'll go on something else. So, you know, one of the things that you can't really do right now, or at least a couple of months ago now that things are opening up again, it's a lot easier, but it's still kind of odd to think about like a jam session, like an Irish session or a blues session where you got like 20, 30 people packed into one room and they're all crowded around one table and, so how do you get that practice in? And I have to imagine, the way that I learned was playing with other people. So if there's a way that someone can go and sit online and play along with a song, maybe that's creating community for someone. Additionally, I put up a video last week, I Spy, but it's Banana Pancakes by Jack Johnson. And in the description, I just put a couple of different like hidden objects that I had placed throughout the video. So I plan on doing another one of those in probably the next week, because I don't have too much time commitment. So I was thinking of like hiding maybe like a little red car over here and putting like a little plant over here and see if I can make it educational. Like I could sneak in like the scientific name of something and actually it's like Vulpus vulpus, but it's a little cartoon fox or something hidden on the back. So like just little things like that and see how people respond to it.
So really, you're looking for it to not just be viewers, you want participants.
Yeah, I want people
I think
to
it's a great idea.
meeting friends.
So much of it's, like you said, we're kind of overloaded. Well, not kind of, we're very overloaded with information. And it's all out there. If you want to just go, if you want to go listen to whoever, you just YouTube and boom, there it is. So what's going to draw people? What's the catch or the hook for something? For independent artists or something to do something a little different, where people are like, that's cool. And I think it's a great idea. Don't sell yourself short on the chords and stuff. I'm like, I gotta steal that.
Thank you. I guess I don't think that I'm a particularly flashy artist. I don't kind of zero in on that. And I think that the thing that people kind of latch on to is something that's grown over time. So if there's a way for me to make my YouTube videos a way for people to kind of like go back and forth and maybe I don't know if it's like a subliminal thing, they could listen into the music in a more in a deeper way, while doing something as mundane as looking for a plastic fox or a little red car. Maybe that's a way, to create a friendship, to create a sense of community. I'm not quite sure how well it'll work out, but I think people...
I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. I think it's a great idea. Yeah. And as far as like not being flashy, some people are turned off by that flashy, They want an honest performance from someone that's writing from inside, and getting it out there. And,
I definitely write from the heart, so thank you.
So, I think it's obvious. Maybe you're just a cold fish and you're making up all those things you're talking about, but I doubt it. So I'm not thinking so. Anything else you want to touch on before we play some music?
I'm grateful to be here in Panama City Beach, and I played at Roberts Hall just about a month ago, and it was just fantastic. That is another element of community that I just love so much. I got to do a virtual open mic in Nashville last night.
Nice.
That was through Nashville Jazz Workshop, and it was literally, we just did a Zoom call, and it was 6 over there, it was 7 over here, and I guess it's just 6 here, so it was 6 there. But anyway, in Tallahassee it was 7, and I just loved it because there was that element of community, and I loved performing at Roberts Hall because we had just a group of songwriters on stage, and we all got to share our stories and actually talk to one another. And there is that danger as a songwriter that if you're just sitting at home and you write your songs and you keep them all hidden to yourself, you're missing out on the best part of songwriting, which is sharing it with other songwriters and other people who have just lived lives, which is all of them, and getting that feedback and having that sharing, because you have an opportunity to meet somebody who you might really connect with.
And it's a little terrifying too. You're sending your babies out there in the cold, harsh world, and so. But it's amazing, and especially I found with the people that support things like the Roberts Hall concerts, people that are music people that really want to listen. how receptive they are and supportive of, you know, you writing songs. And I know they've been for me, and you know, I don't sing much and I don't play much. Al has a hard time making me sound like anything.
I think we all want to express joy. And I think whenever you can see that, whether it's in the form of a song or in the form of a table that's been very beautifully crafted, or it's just cool to see that someone's gotten there, you know?
Well, and the great thing is, again, is with the sharing and the connections we were talking about, it's because you played at Roberts Hall that you were recommended to me to have you on the show.
Yes, thank you, Keel.
Yeah, let's play some music.
Okay, yeah.
I'm excited.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Let's go next door.
Oh, hey, Cosmos. Sorry I didn't see you there. This is Martin from the Recovery Room on Radio Cosmos, every Friday night on WKGC 90.7 FM, and you are watching me, watching Radio Cosmos Live.
All right, once again, we're here with the lovely and talented Miss Rachel Hillman, and Rachel's going to play some music for us. I'm excited because I've heard your recordings, some of which are acoustic, but many of which have all kinds of orchestration with it, and a full band. So I'm excited to hear some of these songs acoustified. So what do you got for us?
Well, I was going to start with one of my very favorite subjects to talk about is food, and I figured I'd write a song about it. I talked to my couple friends, and they dared me to write a Thanksgiving song, and I said I actually already had one, so that's what this song's about, is getting some food with friends. It's called Place Where We All Can Eat.
Love it.
Though the skies may be filled with certain chance of rain, I'm thinking that the sunlight is coming. On the wind there is the will to make our present just a phase. I'm not certain what it is, but it is something stunning. I'm thinking one day we'll be looking at a clear blue sky, birds singing, bells ringing, and we'll be dancing side by side. And I'm thinking one day you'll be smiling too. Oh, single file to great big smiles, and a place where we all can eat. I can smell it just coming on the air. There's a great big party and everyone we don't stare. A big table with too many plates, yeah. You never know who's gonna show up late. And I'm thinking one day you'll be smiling too. Oh, single files, a great big smiles, and a place where we all can eat. The great big smiles, I said, no worries, I'm there in a hurry. Single file to great big smiles, and a place where we all can eat. don't know. Hide in the back.
Very nice.
Man. Gosh.
She's a real
I still
guitar
don't know how to
player. She
play.
noodles between songs.
I always mess up that ending. Sorry, I'm all red now because I've messed up that ending. Well, okay. Onward and
Yeah,
upward.
don't ever do that again. How did you mess it up?
That's a secret I'll never tell.
What you got for us?
Well, I guess next I'll play a song about the moon. This is a song called Slowly, and this is the single that was on Spotify and all those things before the album Influences came out. And I was thinking just about the small things and how at the time I was back in school and I was super stressed out and I just didn't feel like there was any point that I could just breathe. So I wrote this song just kind of touching on that feeling, and I wrote the chords so that way I could play it with like a jazz band. Passing cars don't really appeal much though. Well, they do get people talking. I just want a moment with the moon, nothing to do. Just walking. Slow. Not a worry on my mind. Not a single bill I'm behind. No fair weather friends under these cloudy skies. Just walking slowly. Just me and the night. No worries inside. Just walking, walking slowly. Slowly, not a worry on my mind. No high bills that I'm behind. No fair weather friends under these cloudy skies. Just walking slow. Just me and the night. No worries in sight. Just walking, walking slowly.
amazing. Amazing!
Thank you.
Very nice, very nice. How do you keep that much vocal control whilst and at the same time concentrating on picking like that? Is it just second nature at this point, or?
Well, I'm just trying to, I guess there's like a checklist of things that I've been told work, and they do. And so part of it is finding a way that you can have good posture. And I found that being seated and having good guitar posture allows me to breathe as much as I need to have a consistent tone. And then there are just like a few things that I picked up from vocology classes. For instance, there is one I took Liz Johnson, I think is her last name, from Nashville Jazz Workshop. She did a vocology class, and she talked about focusing your sound out of your mouth as opposed to through your nose. For instance, when you listen to like a lot of high projection singing, which often you hear in I guess bluegrass and Broadway, but it's all through the nose, and so there's a specific sound kind of associated with that. But if you can bring your sound down into your mouth and do primarily you're singing through that, I don't know, people just kind of like it. It's just there's a richer tone. Yeah, there's a sound to it that people kind of have, in my experience, connected with, and so I keep trying to do that because I like the way it sounds too.
Keep doing what you're doing, yeah.
But
I'm gonna steal that one too.
Yeah, just a little one of the things off the checklist is good posture for good breath and making sure that I'm singing through my mouth. But thank you.
Yeah, excellent. Give me some more. Come on.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna do a strummer. I guess everything's kind of ending up in the E and A zone right now, but this is a song called Strange Moments. And it's just about those times in your life that you thought that you were going to be accompanied by somebody, and you ended up going through it alone. And there's a formative part of that, and it's beautiful and hard to process. And I was processing some memories when I wrote this, and I kind of crafted some invisible and non-existent memories as well. So the song is just about as much about my life as it is about anyone else's.
Well, those are things we all share.
But yeah, I'd be interested to see what you guys think of this song. The first one that I played, A Place Where We All Can Eat, and Strange Moments, neither of those have been released on real platforms, so you guys are getting to, I guess, see a very special recording and a very special thing. I haven't really done this for these songs for many people. I played them in my live shows, but we haven't really done a proper recording, so this is quite cool.
Excellent.
Thank you for inviting me to be part of this. This is just really special. Okay, Strange Moments. Yeah. Feel the sticky summer heat. Leave bits of tar on your 8-year-old feet, and your mama's coffee tastes bittersweet, but you gulp it down anyhow, and you pipe down, collect your wet clothes, brush that sand from the side of your nose. There's a sun-baked Polaroid. You strike a pose and you head out. Past, you're sat on the floor and your mama's yelling, well, you don't know what for. These conversations held behind closed doors seem awfully loud anyhow, and you grab the scooter and you sneak outside and drop by the neighbors to spend some time, and she shows you records and she's awfully nice anyhow.
decide that it's right anyhow. Take trips to the beach, well, they all feel like home, and the closer you get, well, you feel more alone. They'll talk about family, your heart sinks like stone. It goes deep in your stomach, so you reach for your phone, and you call up your mama, but she's not at home. Well, these are some strange moments. Yeah, these are some strange moments. Feel the sticky summer night. Leave bits of sweat on the lash of your eye. You slap away bugs as you have one last fight for now. Walk slow to your car, one look back, then you drive 3/4 of a mile. Then you stop and you cry, 2 hands to the wheel, but you hold on too tight. Put on some Zeppelin, disappear in the night. You're not crying for love, you're just crying for life. Well, these are some strange moments. Yeah, these are some strange moments. Yeah, these are some strange moments. Yeah, these are some strange moments. Well, these are the diaries that we fill out, the things we won't say out loud. Something tells me they'll be sticking around. Ooh. Oh. Ooh. Oh. Yeah.
I tell you, I saw a thing the other day. I think it was a quote from Beethoven, which I will brutalize / paraphrase. It said something like, and not that you made any mistakes, but it said something like, playing a wrong note is okay, but playing without passion is unforgivable. And
I think I have read that
absolutely,
one.
when you throw your head back and let it go, girl, yes. So I'm sure every time you do that, you get a good response.
Thank you. I love singing that song. Usually I try to get the audience going on the part, which sometimes people are, feeling timid and they just kind of want to watch. And sometimes everyone's just rowdy and they're just going to do whatever it is that the band tells them to do.
Well, there's no halfway doing that one. You got to let it fly.
I think it is it's a liberating thing to yell. And I think that there are so many people that are very afraid to even use their voices. A lot of times, I've worked with a couple of different students in Tallahassee that I've kind of helped find their voices, either just in speaking or in singing. And usually there's just a fear of making a bad sound. And that's what stops them from making a sound that they really like.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what the sing-along part of Strange Moments is that sometimes you gotta let yourself sound bad. And
Absolutely.
that's kind of what my perspective was on writing it and hoping that people would join in.
Yeah, and that's what I tell, like our band will play or something, and somebody like, man, how'd y'all get so good? And I said, well, I went out and sucked for like...
Yeah, we started off
I went out
bad.
and sucked for like 15 years. I've kind of worked out all the things I can't do well, and I don't do those anymore. But no, very impressive, very wonderful, wonderful. Give us more.
Okay, let's see.
We're very needy on this show.
I'm excited to be playing, and I should have written down a list of things. I had an idea of what I was going to play, and then of course I all went out. This is a song that actually is on my YouTube right now. It's called In the Evening, and it's another one of those tunes that I wrote. When I got back to the school, I wanted to write some charts that the jazz students could kind of find a home in. So I wrote this one. This is kind of based on the blues. We had just come back from a blues competition, and I realized that I didn't have too many fast songs that had room for blues language. So I immediately wrote this one because I had been listening to blues all weekend, and I felt, just super
Boozy.
excited. Yeah. So, but I have noticed that in general, and this is part of the genre, and this is also just part of when people think about the blues, they're thinking about feeling sad. But usually what comes with feeling sad is, when you're talking about like a bad relationship at work or a bad love relationship. So I wrote this one about something that was a good relationship that they're just missing each other. So it's not so bad.
Or sometimes I gotta look at the day. You've got a mighty full schedule and I don't wanna get in the way. But in the evening, it's all by design. Oh, when I hold you, I know that you're mine. Yeah, sometimes you're out by 6. And I don't sit there watching the clock, but the hours don't go by quick. But in the evening, that's all fine. 'Cause when I hold you, you know that you're mine. I got my own after all. When it's all over, when we come undone, I'll be having you over for some hot and fun. Oh, in the morning, you'll be eager on too. Sometimes you might wonder if I'll be coming home to you. But in the evening, well, how they close down the stores. When I hold you, you know, when I hold you, you know, yeah, when I hold you, you know that I'm yours. I'm not it, that I'm yours, that I'm yours, that I'm yours, that I'm yours.
Thank you.
I love it. So good. I tell you, it's funny. It's like you're playing. And I can tell how good the song is and how much you're getting into it. Your glasses are working your way down your nose.
Oh yeah, it's always part of the choreography.
You get in, and it's like, thank you.
I wore contacts right until last year, and then I was like, you know what? I need to stop paying for contacts when I'm not even leaving my house.
No, the glasses fit.
Thank you.
Everything worked. It's the right look.
Thank you. Well, gosh, do you want another song?
Heck yeah!
Okay.
Tom, you want another song?
Let's see. We're just doing originals, right?
Just doing originals tonight.
Well, this one was on, no.
I think it's time you and I got to really talking. I get concerned by the words that we'd never say. And if it's true that you do have a stake in me, I got to go start to show that I want it that way. I see the way that you make all your steps towards me. You turn your eyes to my eyes, then you break away. And it's so warm when your arms are wrapped around me. I could go where it's cold almost any day. There is no question, darling. I talked to God and prayed, and now I'm wondering, honey, are you feeling for me? I think it's time to say it. I think I wanna be in love. 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 Na 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 guitar song. I told my friends, they pretend that they don't know about it. But if it's true that you do have a stake in me, I gotta go start to show that I wanna say. There is no question, darling. I talked to God and prayed, and now I'm wondering, honey, are you feeling for me? I think it's time I say it. I think I wanna be in love. 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 I said na 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 na
Excellent. I think we are all in love with you and your music.
Thank you.
I tell you. All right, tell everybody where they can find your music, they can find your shows, they can find more about you.
Well, let's see. Well, you can go to linktree.com/Rachel Hillman Music, and you can find all of my links on there: YouTube, Spotify, Patreon if you want to be a patron. And also all of my book dates and my website are all connected through there. So linktree.com/Rachel Hillman Music.
That's great. And people can buy your CDs, physical CDs somewhere yet?
We don't really do CDs, the
just
royal
showing my
we, I
age.
guess. But we do have music on Spotify. Really, the easiest way you can support me is to send a message on YouTube or Facebook or Instagram and add me on there and just become part of the community and tell me if you connected to one of the songs. Tell me if you really connected to something that I said and it brought back a memory. I'm not really so worried about CD sales. I just really want to talk to people and hear the songs that you're writing. I think that is just the most wonderful thing when someone wants to share that with you. And so I'm glad I could share this with you today, and I'm glad I could share this with you today and with you as well.
You got all those words out in those songs, and you tripped on that.
I am really a terrible public speaker. I think that
Yes, we can tell.
it's nice being able to sing when you can practice at home and get the lines down exactly as you want them, but I just kind of ramble when I'm talking
I think
in
you're
public.
wonderful. Thank you for coming on. And by all means, go check her stuff out. And I can't wait to have you guys back with the big band and everything. But thank you for
Fingers
taking
crossed.
time out of your very busy schedule to drive down here. Tim Parrish, thank you for hooking us up too. So that's going to do it for this here edition of Radio Cosmos Live. Rachel, Tom back in the back, Calvin. We'll see you next week, or next time. Next show.
See ya.
See ya.
I love that clapper. I need a clapper in my house.